Oh, baby. Oh, baby. Tough 2-game stretch in Minnesota for obvious reasons. On a serious note, these were 2 tough games to watch, and we'll get into it here on the Dubs Talk podcast with the Warriors insider and Hall of Famer here at NBC Sports Bay Area, the one and only 2-time Emmy Award-winning Monte Poole. I am Bonta Hill, of course, and as always, we're brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. Save up to $1,200 on select mattresses during the Mancini Sleep World President's Day sale. Hey, kick it off the year where you can save up to $1,200, Monty. Not a bad deal. Started at incredible prices. These mattresses start at incredible prices, like Beauty Rest Queen mattresses starting at just $299. Get 0% financing. Well, not to tell you guys, 5 years, 0% financing. Who doesn't like that? You can find mattresses or have payments on Tempur-Pedics as low as $29 a month. So go ahead and shop sleepworld.com. Sleepworld.com. Monty Poole, the Warriors get the split in Minnesota. 1-2 on this 4-game road trip. Last time we talked, it was after the Dallas game. Emotions were running high in the chat as we went live there in the Dubs Talk podcast. Now you get a couple games in Minnesota. Obviously, Saturday was postponed due to some unfortunate circumstances, to say the least. And I'm underselling that in Minnesota and what's happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So they play a back-to-back, their 10th back-to-back of the season. They went on Sunday, where Minnesota turns the ball over 26 times. The Warriors pick up a season-high 20 steals in that basketball game. But you could feel the lack of energy in that building. And it's understandable to see Minnesota kind of go out there and lay a dud, considering what was going on in their own community. You felt a little more energy in the building tonight at the Target Center. Then again, you look on the floor, there's no Steph Curry, there's no Draymond Green, there's no Al Horford and Anthony Melton. They haven't been cleared to play back-to-backs. Kuminga, day-to-day with the bone bruise. Jimmy Butler out for the season. Then a late scratch with Anthony Edwards. This is a weird 2 games of basketball. For me personally, it was really tough to focus on the game itself, considering what was going on in that community, Monty.
You too. There are times when sports feel so insignificant.
Yep.
And Friday, Saturday was one of those times when you see something unfold with your very own eyes. You see someone die and get someone murdered with your very own eyes. And so the first thing I thought when they said they were going to postpone the game, I thought that's an excellent idea.
Yeah.
Excellent idea. Those teams had no business plan. I mean, I don't know what the crowd would have looked like, but I'm sure there are people who probably didn't want to go to a game. If you're not out there protesting, you don't probably want to be anywhere near the arena. And so it's one of those things where I thought the Warriors did what they were supposed to do, in the sense that you could see the Timberwolves were not locked in. And you understand why. This is their community. This is where they live.
Yep.
And watching that game, I mean, I thought particularly Julius Randle was awful again, justifiably. I mean, Julius kills the Warriors. He had nothing on Saturday. He had nothing on Sunday, rather. He had nothing. And so the Warriors, being the visiting team, I'm sure they felt it too, because they were locked in their hotel rooms, seeing it out, looking out windows and seeing it. But I thought they handled it well. To me, the most impressive thing they did is they put aside what was going on. Not only did they put it aside, but they were able to focus on the part of the game that is hardest to focus on when your mind is scattered. Mm-hmm. Defense. Yeah. Usually, guys can get going with offense. They can get a couple of buckets and they kind of forget about what's going on around them. But for guys to dig in and play defense, that's different. Yeah, the Timberwolves weren't themselves, but the Warriors, give them credit, man. They actually did work on defense and won that game. So they knew it, though. They also knew that Timberwolves weren't themselves. And after the game, they all talked about that. Yeah, these guys, clearly weren't the team that we saw last May in the playoffs. With him, I mean, Ant played well, but he didn't have a whole lot. He and Dante put in, they scored 54 points together, I think. And so, but the rest of the team didn't do a whole lot, and we know why. So the Warriors, they handled their business and really under trying conditions. So it's impressive, but it's also something that, I'm sure they're not like, there wasn't much joy after that victory.
Monty, you mentioned it. Anthony Edwards, DiVincenzo combined for 54 to 85 points Sunday for the Minnesota Timberwolves. It was the first time in 103 games where the Minnesota Timberwolves didn't score at least 100 points in a basketball game. Third longest streak in NBA history. Anthony Edwards, although he had the 32 points and 11 rebounds, he also committed 8 turnovers. And a lot of those turnovers, the Warriors were playing defense. They were a plus 22 in the paint. They took away the bigs in that basketball game. However, you could just see some of the passes and the lack of cohesion Minnesota had offensively. Now, don't get me wrong, they have lost 4 games in a row entering that basketball game, so they've been in a bit of a rut. But when Jaden McDaniels and Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle combined to score 18 points in that basketball game, you knew something wasn't right. And they made it for it on Monday tonight as we're recording this podcast. But everything that was going on, the Warriors are in a hotel room looking at these protests from their hotel rooms, taking videos of it. And it was happening in weather that would have us all in the house. It was basically 0 degrees out there.
Yeah.
With white snow all over the place. And yeah, the NBA made the great call. It was the right call to postpone the game. And I thought there would be a chance they just move Sunday's game and they won't make this a back-to-back, because from the basketball side of things, and it's bigger than basketball. Don't get me wrong. It's bigger than basketball. But when it's turned into a back-to-back for the Golden State Warriors, well, then you knew there was going to be a game that they were going to play without Melton and Horford. And if this game was playing on Saturday, if nothing happened on Saturday, they played this game Saturday, Monday, you have Horford and Melton available for 2 games. Plus, you probably have Steph and Draymond available. But since it was turned into a back-to-back, hey, you get your split. You get out of Minnesota with the split. You take the first game. You handle your business in that first game with a big third quarter. Because Minnesota got back into that basketball game. Warriors were clinging to a 1-point lead at the half on Sunday, and Minnesota had no business being in that basketball game.
Right.
But the Warriors were able to outscore them 38-17 in that third quarter, so they handled their business on Sunday. And look, they're doing better with the turnovers. I thought the shot selection is still got to be better, and we can talk about that in a second. But Monday, it was a mass shooting, Monty. It was a mass shooting, and Minnesota goes on that 21-4 run before halftime to really blow this game open. It really just a lot of one-on-one basketball. It was ugly to watch. Monday was ugly to watch, but I understand why maybe our heads wasn't into the game. It was just, there's a lot going on in this country, especially in Minneapolis.
Yeah, well, I mean, I look at it too. There's another 2 ways to look at this. So you're right about that. But on the other hand, the guys who were playing are mostly guys who come off the bench and guys who are fighting and scrapping for minutes. And to me, when you see the big boys that are not going to be on the court that night, it's like your opportunity to kind of show you might be worthy of more minutes, do your thing. And at no point did I think, oh, the Warriors going to pull off this upset because, they got this or they got that. No, but I was a little bit stunned by how they played. I expected them to lose, but the way they lost, the Warriors from the first minute of training camp probably knowing Steve Curry and his staff, stress for offensive principles. We are a ball movement team. 0.5 basketball. Keep the ball moving. It's easier to move the ball than to move bodies and force the defenses to go to work on you. And in that first half especially, it was like, what are these guys doing? Dribble, and 4 guys standing around watching, and it's like a lot of one-on-one basketball, which is okay if you are an ISO legend. The Warriors on that Monday night game had no ISO legends on the floor. And yet you had guys, and Paz was kind of guilty of this at least 4 times, I thought, where and one thing Steve Kerr hates is 0 pass possessions.
Oh, yes.
And Pods at least 4 times went with a 0 pass possession to get a shot. And I'm like, this is not Warriors basketball. You're not going to win the game, but you've abandoned your principles. Yeah. You've discarded the game plan, because I'm sure part of the game plan was, look, make these guys move on defense.
No.
And so maybe it was lack of focus, but they all know how they're supposed to play. And Guy Santos mentioned it after the game, saying, the ball movement wasn't good, and it got better in the second half, but they ended up with 21 assists.
Yeah.
Which was just two more. They had 19 turnovers. So they barely had more assists than turnovers.
Yep.
And in that first quarter, I remember watching that first quarter and going, wait a minute. They had 4 assists in the first quarter.
Like, how many turnovers? Remember how many turnovers they had?
Yeah.
So was it 8 turnovers in the first quarter? It could have been 7.
7 or 8. Yeah. I think it was 7. But yeah, it's like they got ball movement got going a little bit better in the second quarter and then in the second half. But I just thought there were too many lapses in principles. And it was, to me, that was like, okay. And in that late second quarter surge that the Timberwolves had pretty much closed it out.
Yeah.
And so the third quarter, they kept going and, the game was over by then. But I just thought, there was one, and the other thing too, the 3 balls were not dropping. So what they do?
They did have open looks.
Oh,
some open looks that they missed.
Yeah.
I mean,
they had enough open looks to make, and I'm probably 7 or 8 pretty good open looks that I saw.
I mean, Buddy Hield didn't have it going tonight from the 3, 1 of 4, 2 of 10 overall. Will Richard 0 for 6 from 3. Guy Santos 1 for 6 from 3. Moses Moody, who's been shooting great over the last 7, entering tonight, shooting 56% from 3. He was 2 of 7. So no shots were falling. They had some great looks too early in that first half. And look, what I want to see moving forward is a lot more balance because half of their shots come from the 3-point line. They average nearly 88 field goal attempts per game. Well, half of those come from 3, 45 from 3. So you got to get more balance somehow, some way. It was going to be tough tonight without the big dogs in the lineup, of course, but there was a lot of isolation basketball. And it really started to rear its ugly head midway through the second quarter. They were up 34-32 somehow, despite not moving the basketball, despite the turnovers wide, because Minnesota was sleepwalking.
Yep.
They were sleepwalking. Yep. Julius Randle, look, I'm dead serious here. I thought with the way Julius Randle was playing for most of the first half, I thought the FBI was going to come in and investigate him.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious.
He was lost. Yeah.
He was lost. I mean, he had 6 turnovers. Yeah. And a lot of just dribble. Like, just, it was bad. And there was a sequence in this game where, Rudy Gobert did his thing 15 and 17. I thought Post played as hard as he could tonight. There was like a 2-minute sequence in that second quarter where I said, boy, the NBA's got to be ticked off that this is on Peacock. It was some of the most hideous bad. It was turnover. Moses Moody slipped. I thought the way it looked, I was like, man, I'm lucky. He's lucky he didn't come away with an injury. You know what I'm talking about?
Groin injury, yeah.
Dude, he looked like he did the splits out there. So it got sloppy. It got ugly. I mean, they went up 34-32 after 2 GP2 points. And I think about GP2. He played less than 12 minutes tonight and fouled out.
Yeah.
So, you want to say this wasn't Warriors basketball? Yeah, this was a rough watch, Monty. I don't know what it was. It wasn't Warriors basketball. It wasn't NBA basketball. But it was something. So Minnesota goes on that 21-4 run before halftime. He really blew this game open. But I don't think they played great. They committed 23 turnovers. It's just a sloppy basketball game overall. So that's why it's hard for me to take away anything for these 2 games with the Warriors because of the circumstances in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And nobody played in the Monday night game. Nobody played.
No, they got a split. And to me, that's acceptable under the conditions for sure. Dallas, they could have been better, but they got the split in Minneapolis and they got Utah coming up. So if they go 2-2 on this road trip, and again, we should beat Utah. I know Steve Kerr said that Melton and Horford definitely will play. And Draymond and Steph, he sounded like they probably would play, but but they will be a more whole team when they play the Jazz on Wednesday. So, but yeah, I just thought the disappointing part watching for this game Monday night was that they abandoned their principles, and Steve saw it too. There was a point in the third quarter there when the Warriors did something they rarely do. They took 3 consecutive, 1 possession, 3 3-point shots because they got 2 offensive rebounds. Rebound, throw it out, 3. And all 3 were bricks.
Yeah.
All three were bricks. And then Minnesota goes down, does not score. The Warriors can come back down and Moses jacks up a brick. And then this time the Timberwolves go down. And I think it was McDaniels hit a corner three. And Steve came off the bench, timeout. It's like, I can't watch this.
And Monte, we had to get through the Albert Postgame show tonight. And we made it happen. The show actually flew by. We talked about the Warriors and the actual basketball game for like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was around the NBA. It was stories about Mac McClung. I mean, they lost every single quarter tonight. They lost every single quarter. And look, there's a couple silver linings, I guess, for the people who want positivity, because some people in there in the comments say, Bonta, hey, you don't say anything positive about the team, which is not true. But hey, they won a point to the pain battle, Monty, for the second straight night. How about that? They won a point to the pain battle. The other Sunday, they were a plus 22. Tonight, they're a plus 2. All 5 starters scored double figures. Hey, let's pop some champagne. No serious.
And 4 of them shot under 40%.
Under 40%. Dude, they shot 34.5% as a team. It was the lowest point total they've had this season in a basketball game. And we were doing it. We showed the graphic on the pregame show, Monty. The Big Six is what we call it. And we're not talking dominoes. Jimmy's out for the year. Kuminga's day-to-day. Steph, Dre, Horford, Melton, they don't play. That's over 60 points per game. That's over 60 points. That was in street clothes. $170 million worth of salaries not playing tonight for the Golden State Warriors. There's probably basketball teams out there that don't have that same payroll, that don't have $170 million payroll, right? I mean, it was a lot to ask from these guys, and I get it. I understand what you're saying with the principles, but
yeah,
I wasn't expecting much, to be honest with you. I wasn't expecting much, to be honest with you. Because would you have a lot of guys who haven't played together like this, in this capacity, in this role? You're going to see a lot of clunkiness.
They play together a lot in the sense that the vets don't practice every practice. Yeah. Those guys who played in this game Monday night, most of those guys are out there every practice. And so there is some playing together. But I think we can move on from these 2 games and get into some more stuff, because you look at the Warriors where they are now, and now as we speak now, we've got 10 days before the trade deadline. And what do? You know, you lose Jimmy, which sort of crashes your party. Then you lose Kuminga for an indefinite period of time. You don't know whether it's going to be a week, 2 weeks. You don't know. And yeah, can you trade a guy while he's injured? Yes, you can. I mean, the Warriors traded Melton last year when he had surgery, so yes, you can. But this certainly ruffles the feathers a little bit of I just said creates more turbulence toward getting something done. And I don't envy the job that Mike Dunleavy and Joe Lacob have, because I know they don't like what they see, and they know they don't have enough to compete at the higher levels of the league. They know that. So
what do you do?
Yeah. I think what Mike said, and it stuck with me, is that he said if there's a trade where he can get an impact player that can make an impact now and be with them when Steph is done, that he was okay to move the draft pick, move some draft capital. I totally believe that should happen if there is such a deal. Now, will there be such a deal? That's the hard part.
Yeah.
But if I'm them, I'm trying. I'm looking for it. Trying to figure out a way to get it done. Now the question becomes, now you get Giannis, who of course has been the fantasy guy all along. He's out for a month.
Did you still make that move for him?
Would I?
Yeah. Knowing that he's not coming back for a month. You have all the picks. We discussed this last week. 5 of your next 6 first-round picks are unprotected. Would you still send the picks for Giannis, knowing that he's under contract for next year?
Yes. If he wanted to do an extension, yes. But you got to trade a lot of salary to do that.
Yes, you do.
And Dunleavy has basically said that, hey, he has no plans to trade Jimmy, who has a big salary.
Right.
Now, keep in mind, plans can change.
He had no plans to trade Jordan Poole.
Yeah.
And 2 days later, Jordan Poole was out of there.
Yeah. And a week before they traded Wiggins.
Right.
They weren't going to trade Wiggins.
Right. We love Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah. So things can change.
Yep.
But the reason why I would do it is because Giannis, he might miss a month, but I'm not doing it just for this year.
Doing it for next.
I'm doing it because now you got a 31-year-old guy who's should have at least 5 more good years. And I don't know, Steph is going to be 38 in a couple of months.
In March?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Steph can play till he's 40, but I don't know if he can play till he's 43.
And then can he play at this level? He's playing at a very high level.
Yes.
There's a lot of miles on those legs.
Yes.
But he is playing at a very high level. So
Well,
he's going to make $62 million next year, 62.5. Looking at the contracts right here on the iPad, and
he's underpaid.
To your point, I guess the Kuminga thing throws a monkey wrench in everything. He's day-to-day with the bone bruise. But if Giannis doesn't get moved, and it does feel like the Brooklyn Nets, they're going to be big players in terms of selling because they don't really want to buy. They want picks, and they want to lose games. So they're willing to trade Michael Porter Jr. But, again, Brooklyn's not interested in Jonathan Kuminga. I know that for a fact.
Yep.
They're not interested. So far, things could change. We get that. They could change. But would it behoove the Warriors just to stand pat? I know the blowback from the fan base would be loud. It may be a PR disaster. But waiting until the summer where more players could be available, and then all of a sudden, the Jimmy expiring contract looks a lot more attractive. Draymond Green has a player option. What happens there? Steph has one more year. Would it behoove the Warriors to stand pat past the deadline as of now? Or should they be aggressive knowing how well Steph Curry is playing? So I'm kind of with Dalton, what he said last week, and I think maybe you subscribe to this as well, Monte. You're not drafting another Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry is one of one. The Chicago Bulls are still looking for the next Michael Jordan, right? They're still looking. The Lakers, they want stars, so they trade for stars. I don't know if that's going to happen with the Golden State Warriors. So do you go all in for Steph now? I guess is the question for Mike and Joe. Or do you wait till the summer and try to reassess the situation?
Well, I go all in if there is a player that I think can be a foundational player for a number of years beyond this one. Like Giannis. Now, if there were a way to do that, and again, it's, we know it's a very, very slim chance, but if there is a door that opens for that trade, I would have to entertain it. And if again, you'd have to trade a big salary or two.
Yeah.
In other words, if Mike is saying he ain't going to trade Jimmy, again, that can change, then he'd have to trade Draymond and JK. Okay. And Draymond and JK are those are both 4s.
Yeah.
So is Giannis. So salary-wise, that gets him close to Giannis with those two salaries together. Those two guys are making a little over 50 million. So that gets you in the ballpark to do it. Now, again, trading Draymond is something that they probably have thought about before, and every time they thought about it, they said no. I mean, in fact, I know they thought about it before, but they've said no. And I don't know.
Real quick, I heard Draymond wasn't even discussed in the offers so far this season. That hasn't even been on the table. That Draymond name has been omitted from any offer.
Yeah, well,
unless it's Giannis, of course.
To paraphrase Mike Dunleavy about JK, I don't know how much of a market there is for Dre right now.
Yeah,
but I know that there have been times in the past, a couple of times in the past, when they thought, the pros and the cons were starting to even out. It used to be the pros were here, the cons were here. And then they started evening out, and they had to think about it. And each time they thought about it, they said, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Now, if they don't do it this time, okay. But if they stand pat, I think we all know that this team is a play-in team.
Right.
And This season will be over probably in April.
Yep.
And JK, they have team option on JK.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out what to do with him. But I would like to think that if they do stand pat, they better have something going in the summer.
No doubt.
They better have something in their back pocket saying, okay, we're standing pat now, but watch. Give us a couple months and watch what happens.
Yeah, well, if they do stand pat, then there's going to be a couple questions that loom over the next couple months of the season. Obviously, the JK elephant in the room. What do you do with him? But also the head coach.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, the discussion kind of pivots to Steve Kerr. And now, all of a sudden, we're talking about it on this podcast, Bonnie, whether or not Steve Kerr is coaching for the final 2 months of his Warriors tenure. What happens? What goes into play with him?
Yeah.
What would Steve Kerr want right now? Again, they have these attractive picks, and you only get one Stephen Curry. And I get that they've been reluctant to do things, but I think they've made moves. They made the Jimmy move. That was a blockbuster trade. Well, yeah, I'm with you. I do not envy Joe Lacob and Mike Dunleavy and the Warriors front office. They are stuck in mud right now because the Kuminga domino, other teams aren't budging right now. They don't have to.
Yeah.
The Warriors' house is on fire. Not theirs. They don't have to give in to the Warriors. So no matter, and then obviously if that does happen, if the Warriors do stay pat, another question will be, well, can Jonathan Kuminga help out in any way, shape, or form on this current basketball team? Now, he'll play if he is stuck here, but then all of a sudden you got a disgruntled 23-year-old who doesn't want to be here. So there's a lot to juggle here over the next 9-10 days, Monty.
But if you're an athlete, a prideful athlete who puts in work, and JK is prideful and he works, I think there's a way he looks at this and goes, you know what? Okay, I'm going to play.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play my tail off and watch how many teams want me.
It's true.
Because I don't think he would, you can say the Warriors, the way they have dealt with him has probably depressed his value a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't think Jonathan Kuminga will say, I want to depress my value on my own. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think if he gets the opportunity to play, he will want to play in a way that makes him really attractive. Now, you hope he doesn't go overboard, and try to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's been around long enough to know better than to do that.
Yep.
But if he goes out and he balls for the last 2 months of this season, he looks a lot more attractive to teams.
Yep.
The teams who may be on the fence now, we're not sure. Maybe we like him, but we don't love him. Maybe somebody, all you need is one team to flip.
Mm-hmm.
And that one team says, you know what? Yeah, we think we just watched him cook for 6 weeks. We think we can do something with this dude on our roster.
Yeah.
And that's all you need is one. So I think JK, that's part of wanting to get out.
Yeah.
Play your tail off.
No doubt.
Go cook. And then your value goes up. And JK, I know he wants big money. So, yeah, I mean, the better you play, generally, the more in demand you are, the more salary you can command.
I want big money too, Monty. I want big money.
Can you play?
I can't play. I can talk. Can I get big money for talking, man?
Not those kind of millions.
The Warriors to take on Utah. We'll podcast after the Utah game, and we'll see who plays. Lauri Markkanen has missed 7 consecutive games for the Utah Jazz. Keontae George will not play against the Clippers tomorrow night. They're going to be, or Tuesday night, I should say. They're going to be on the back end of a back-to-back when they play the Golden State Warriors. And the first couple times we've seen them, they've gotten blown out the gym. Utah does not want to win. They're looking to sell. They're looking to sell a little bit, but when you do business with Danny Ainge, you're dealing with the devil. All right, let's be real.
You got to be
religious people out there who listen to the podcast. I apologize, but he is a hoarder, and he will try to strip you of all your picks and make you overpay for any asset. It's tough doing business with Danny Ainge. So the Lauri Markkanen trip that sailed a couple summers ago, I don't think the Warriors are boarding that boat again. They go back to sure. They're not selling towards the Utah Jazz again looking for that deal.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Ainge seems to be on this eternal rebuilding thing right now.
Yep.
I mean, how many years have they been rebuilding? You know,
Poor
since
Will
they got
Hardy.
Donovan Mitchell, since they got
Poor Will. Yeah,
since
Mitchell. Yeah.
Yeah, Mitchell got out of there, and they've been rebuilding ever since, and they're still rebuilding.
Yep.
So, but you're right. Dealing with Danny is you got to watch your back, your side, your front. You got to watch all parts, man, because that dude comes after you. He will come after you. You know. But again, he wants picks. The Warriors have tradable picks.
They do.
So again, is Markkanen enough? He's no Giannis.
I don't think it's enough, Monty.
Yeah,
It's enough.
Not for 2 or 3, not for multiple picks and a player.
Yeah, I don't think it's enough.
I'll give up one. I'll give up her first round pick. I might give up 2, but not probably not because those picks could be more valuable for another deal later.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm Markkanen's not enough. Now if you got another player there with Markkanen, we'll see. But also
Keontae.
I would love Keontae George. You know, that's one of my favorite players. You know that, buddy.
Yeah, he ain't giving him up.
That youngster, heck no, you're not giving him up, or Ace Bailey, who's now in the starting lineup for the Utah Jazz, or has been starting. Any other players, what are you hearing before we end this podcast? Because we've heard the Michael Porter Jr.'s, we've heard the Trey Murphys, Anthony Davis's. I don't think those players individually, Michael Porter Jr., Trey Murphy, is enough to catapult the Warriors into championship contention. There are 3 games behind the 6th seed, no doubt about that. They can make up that ground. But any other names you're hearing about other than the obvious names that we heard, Michael Porter Jr., Trey Murphy, Anthony Davis, Giannis? I've heard nothing else in terms of star power. Maybe a little Andrew Wiggins, but I don't know if the Warriors really want to revisit that situation.
I've heard that one. But you know what? Every now and then, somebody has to bring up the name that the Warriors chased once before. LeBron.
Oh, boy.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying they should do it or anything. I'm just saying every time we say, LeBron ain't, he ain't totally pleased with the Lakers and the Warriors, there have been times when the Warriors kind of like, what about LeBron, with Steph? And so I don't think that's totally dead. I think I'd be surprised if it ever happens, but I know there's been enough feeling out, enough kicking of tires in the past to where you can't totally dismiss it.
Yeah.
But I think if you're the Warriors, you're probably thinking, you know what? Our picks, especially post-Steph picks, could be pretty valuable.
Could be. LeBron James and Steph Curry. Imagine LeBron James in a Golden State Warrior uniform. I'm going to hear in the comments. Thumbs up or thumbs down for LeBron James.
I'm just saying.
Intriguing.
We know.
You're not wrong.
You're not. The Warriors have expressed interest in him before.
Yeah, with Klay Thompson's final season, he was going to be able to deal for LeBron, and you knew it was real because that proposed deal, got out to ESPN, and we know how LeBron James could pull some strings with that network in terms of getting intel out. There was no secret.
Yeah,
that the Warriors had called about LeBron, and there was some mutual interest there. So why not? Why not? What the heck? We got 9 days till the deadline. Next Thursday, 3 p.m. The NBA trade deadline. What will the Warriors do? Where would they be at by that point? They have the Utah Jazz. We'll record another pod after that game. And then all of a sudden, they play the Pistons on Friday, the best team in the Eastern Conference. They are rolling right now. Then they get 3 days off before Monster Week when they take on the Philadelphia 76ers at Chase and go on the road to take on the Phoenix Suns and the LA Lakers.
Yeah. I think right now the Warriors want to do 2 things. They want to make sure that Steph and Draymond are healthy. And they want to make a trade, but they're not going to hastily make a trade, I don't think. And you're right. I think there's a chance they pass the deadline without moving JK. And if that happens, then they better have something in July.
2 minutes or less, Monty, real quick, because something just popped up in my brain. I wanted to ask you this. I've been meaning to ask you this. There's a report over the weekend that Steph had proposed some trade ideas, and there was pushback on that. First time I've heard about that. Because Steph is not the most boisterous guy out there. He kind of lets the front office do what they do.
He has a voice, though.
He has a voice, no doubt. He has a voice. He's a franchise. Not to say that his voice is not loud, but you don't hear about it. Was there any validity to that report that Steph? Because here's the thing. I bet you it's true. But now I'm curious to know what type of deals are on the table that still Steph pushed for. That's what I want to.
Now, yeah. Well, I do know that Steph has in the past proposed some ideas. And I don't know that he has done that in the last few weeks, before or after Jimmy went down. I don't know that he's done that. But I do know that there have been times in the past when he did go to them with ideas. Again, he knows he can't make the trade, but he will let them know what he's thinking. And, if they're smart, they will entertain him and at least consider what he's saying, because Steph ain't going to come out with he's not going to come at you with something that's janky. Yeah. He wants to win as bad as anybody. So anything he comes at you with is something that he thinks can help him win. He wants that 5th ring badly, because the more rings you get, the more exclusive the club.
Absolutely.
And so that 5th ring is special, man. Jordan has 6.
Magic has 5.
Yeah.
Duncan has 5. Kobe has 5.
Yeah.
No doubt. He wants to be at that table.
So, yeah, I mean, now as far as names, I haven't heard any names. I didn't hear any names before this was, I want to say a couple of years ago. You know what? I know for a fact that when in 2022, the summer of 22, before the season, before they won the championship, I know that he pushed for something. And the Warriors kind of went, okay, you know what? We're going to patch this thing together. We're going to bring in Otto Porter Jr. We're going to bring in Belly. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And it worked. And I think Steph was skeptical, but it worked. So when they got that championship with that squad, he was like, okay.
18-2 start. Yeah, no doubt. Jordan Poole looked a lot better. Clay was coming back. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, he was like, okay, the front office, they didn't really follow what I would probably want them to do, but what they did worked. Yeah, and I think with him, the bottom line, if it works, he's cool with it.
Yeah.
But I still think that trading Draymond is something that Steph would probably push back on, unless it's really an offer you can't refuse.
Yeah. Yep. Nah, interesting. Let's end it on that note, Monte. It's going to be very intriguing to see what Dunleavy and Joe Lacob do in the next 9-10 days. And whether they stand pat, whether they do something, it will create a lot of buzz in Dub Nation.
Either way.
Either way.
On February 5th.
Either way. All right. From Monte Poole, our Warriors Insider here at NBC Sports Bay Area, I am Bonta Hill, as always. The Dub Talk podcast brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. Kicking off the year with their President's Day sale, where you can save up to $1,200. That's right. Mattresses started at incredible prices. Beauty Rest, Queen mattresses, starting at just $299. Get 0% financing for up to 60 months. That equals 5 years, including on Tempur-Pedic, with payments starting as low as $29 a month. Every purchase backed by Mancini's Rest Easy Promise, which includes 365-night comfort guarantee. Try your mattress for a full year. If it's not the right fit, they'll fight to make it right. Go ahead and shop sleepworld.com. That is sleepworld.com. For Monte Poole, I am Bonta Hill. Enjoy the podcast, folks. We'll see you after the Warriors take on the Utah Jazz to close out this road trip.